When you think of European cities with at least three commercial airports, you often think about London, Paris, and maybe if you are an aviation geek, you could say Milan. However, there is another major European city that has three commercial airports: Warsaw. Warsaw has three airports, which I like to refer to as Poland's busiest airport, the low-cost airport, and the other one. Furthermore, a plan to create a new transport hub is also in the works that will turn Warsaw into a major player in terms of transportation in Europe. Let's start with the one and only Warsaw Chopin Airport. This is the busiest airport in the entire country and probably the easiest option when arriving in Warsaw, or Poland to be honest. Warsaw Chopin Airport is located about 13 kilometers or 8 miles away from the city center, and it was opened in 1934. When it opened, it was known as Warsaw Okęcie Airport, given that it is located in the Okęcie neighborhood of the Włochy district of Warsaw. At the beginning of World War II, it was completely destroyed since it was the stage for many battles between the German and Polish armies. This included several bombings by the Luftwaffe, who would later use the airport as their pilot training facilities. By the end of the war, the Germans realized that the Allied forces were rapidly approaching, so they intentionally destroyed the airport for a second time so the Allies could not use it for their own war effort. Reconstruction after World War II started shortly thereafter and was spearheaded by a well-known friend, LOT Polish Airlines. Even under communist rule, the airport became a main hub in Eastern Europe, and its two intersecting runways became part of its characteristic layout. With the fall of communism, more routes were opened, and the access to Western influence helped in further developing Warsaw Okęcie Airport. In 2001, the airport was renamed in honor of Polish composer and former Warsaw resident Frederick Chopin, and started bearing its current name, Warsaw Chopin Airport. By 2011, the airport reorganized its terminals into a single one, Terminal A, which has 45 passenger gates, 27 of which are equipped with jetways. Just a year later, the underground railway station was opened in time for the UEFA Euro 2012 tournament. Today, it is not only the busiest airport in Poland, but also the 28th busiest airport in Europe. In 2024, the airport serviced 21.3 million passengers, which constituted approximately 40% of Poland's total air passenger traffic. The busiest international connections were London, Frankfurt, Paris, and Amsterdam, while Krakow, Wrocław, and Gdansk were the most popular domestic ones. As a whole, the airport's current schedule features 7 domestic and 112 international routes. Warsaw Chopin is a central hub for LOT Polish Airlines, as well as an operating base for Wizz Air. However, one cannot talk about Warsaw Chopin without mentioning LOT Polish Airlines. As I mentioned earlier, this iteration of the airport is possible due to the incredible support provided by LOT during its post-World War II reconstruction. Rightfully so, LOT is the flag carrier of Poland and one of the oldest airlines in the world that still remains in operation. Founded in 1928 by the Polish government, it was a founding member of the International Air Transport Association and is now Europe's 22nd largest operator. As a fun fact, the name of the airline, LOT, is the word for flight in Polish. Since 2003, it has been part of Star Alliance and services 97 destinations across Europe, Asia, Africa, and North America. Obviously, most of its air traffic into and from Chopin Airport is to other European destinations, but some notable non-European destinations include New York, Toronto, and Los Angeles in North America, Dubai, Beijing, Tokyo, Seoul, and Delhi in Asia, and the Cairo in Africa. Besides LOT, almost every major European airline has a flight to Warsaw Chopin from the respective main hubs. Besides LOT, some low-cost alternatives like Ryanair and Wizz Air also service the airport. The latter, Wizz Air, has flights to almost 40 European destinations and other seasonal flights too. Plus, I want to point out that Warsaw is serviced by a few major Asian airlines, such as Air China, Emirates, Etihad Airways, and Qatar Airways, and by the African airline Ethiopian Airlines. The second airport that services Warsaw is called Warsaw Modlin Airport and is located approximately 40 kilometers or 25 miles north of central Warsaw. Its name comes from relocating the former village of Modlin, now a part of the town of Nowy Dwór Mazowiecki. It was constructed in 1937, but it wasn't utilized until the German Luftwaffe took control of the airport during World War II. From 1945 to 2000, the airport was under the command of the Polish Air Force. At the turn of the 21st century, the Polish Ministry of National Defense declared the airfield closed. Years later, the idea of reopening the airport and repurposing it for civilian use grew stronger. It was planned to be a replacement for the now closed interior terminal for low-cost carriers at Warsaw Chopin Airport. After a much-needed revamp and remodel of both the passenger terminal and the runways, Modlin was intended to reopen before the UEFA Euro 2012 tournament. Unfortunately, the deadline was not met, and instead the airport began to operate in July 2012. Today, the airport is utilized as it was intended to by low-cost carriers servicing the city of Warsaw. It is a small airport that only has a one-floor building where everything is pretty much crammed into. The low-cost status means that the gates lack any jet bridges, so you have to board and deboard the plane through mobile airstairs placed directly on the tarmac. Plus, there is limited seating and not many amenities for passengers to enjoy or wait until it is time for departure. Warsaw Modlin is serviced by Air Arabia, Ryanair, and Wizz Air, which fly to these destinations as of January 2026. Clearly, the airport is dominated by Ryanair, a company that prefers to service airports like this one. The more cost-effective the airport, the more likely Ryanair will find it a more appealing option. This is true even if that means that the airport is farther away from the city it services. In 2024, Warsaw Modlin's busiest routes include London Stansted, Rome Ciampino, Dublin, Milan Bergamo, and Barcelona. The last airport that apparently also services Warsaw is Warsaw Radom Airport. Its full name is quite a mouthful, as it is officially called Warsaw Radom Heroes of Radom June 1976 Airport. I will say it over and over again. Putting the name of a major city on an airport's name doesn't mean it services said city. There are many great examples of this around the world, and Warsaw Radom is clearly a perfect one. Radom Airport has Warsaw in its name, but it is located 100 kilometers or 62 miles away from Warsaw. This means that it takes at least 1 hour and 15 minutes to reach Warsaw, but if there is heavy traffic, it can take up to 3 hours. Quite crazy if you ask me, but the worst thing about this airport is its history. The airport was constructed in 1929 and became an exclusively military airport. Despite being taken over by the Luftwaffe during World War II and heavily damaged, it remained operational throughout the decades as a pilot training center for the military. In 2014, after considerable investments, the airport became a joint civil-military airport, and between May and July 2015, it saw its first two airlines land in its runway, Air Baltic and Czech Airlines, only for both to announce the cancellation of their services by mid-November of the same year. As an attempt to become functional after years and years of investments, the airport and Czech Airlines reached an agreement to resume flights in December 2015. However, there was a major caveat. The airline decided to resume their flight between Prague and Radom only as an additional leg from their pre-existing flight between Ostrava and Prague. This meant that passengers had to travel both double in time and total distance to get to Prague. Plus, passengers could not buy a ticket only to Ostrava. They were only allowed to disembark once they reached their final destination in Prague. This insane route was contingent to an extension in February 2016, but as you might imagine, this route quickly failed once again, as there was no sense on buying such an inconvenient flight. The last flight took off on February 22, 2016 to never return, which meant that the airport no longer had any scheduled flights once again. Nevertheless, the airport began looking to strike a deal with an airline that will avoid the airport becoming a useless plot of land. By February 26, Sprint Air, a Polish regional airline, announced it will commence operations from Radom Airport. Sprint Air opened 4 flights, which then increased to 5 flights by June 2016. Nonetheless, as per usual, the flights were terminated the following year in October 2017. I swear that this airport has had very bad luck throughout the years, which is definitely sad for the community that depends on it or wants to have their own airport. On January 1st, 2019, the airport decided to close, but only to allow for the construction of the new Warsaw Radom Airport. The new airport opened on October 27, 2023, to serve as a relief airport for the busy Warsaw Chopin and its airspace. At first glance, it seemed that luck had turned for the airport as the country's flag carrier, LOT Polish Airlines, began offering regular connections to Rome, Paris, Tirana, and Preveza. It also tried to captivate low-cost airlines as a good alternative rather than the Ryanair-dominated Warsaw Modlin. Although this proved a tiny bit hard given that Modlin Airport is located much closer to the city. The location of the airport has and will always be its greatest flaw, despite how much the airport has tried and keeps implementing new techniques or striking new deals. As an example of this, as of January 2026, you can only buy two commercial flight tickets, one to Larnaca in Cyprus and a seasonal route to Tirana in Albania, both through Wizz Air. Even LOT, the Polish airline, has given up on the airport as it has proven time and time again to not be a good option. Hopefully, in the future, the airport can find whatever it is missing. Finally, I do want to end the video mentioning the potential new airport that will not only service Warsaw but Poland as a whole. Something that I have hinted at throughout the video is the constant argument that Warsaw Chopin's airport's air traffic needs some sense of relief. That is partly the reason why Modlin Airport opened and the main argument Radom Airport clings onto to justify its existence. The fact is that Warsaw Chopin has been running close to at capacity levels for passenger traffic since the 1970s. As soon as the early 1980s, it became more than evident that the existing airport infrastructure was not able to handle as much traffic as the airport was dealing with by that period. Thus, a decision was made to expand the airport by extending the runway to accommodate all types of airplanes and building a new terminal that was opened in 1992. Everything was good and the problem seemed to have been fixed until it wasn't anymore. As an idea, Warsaw Chopin's layout has slightly changed since 1992 when Terminal 2, now part of Terminal A, was opened. Nonetheless, the number of passengers has increased exponentially from about 2.2 million passengers in 1993 to a staggering 21.3 million passengers in 2024. Although these numbers don't take into account several factors, this still signifies almost a 1,000% increase in passenger traffic, meaning that practically the same airport has had to accommodate the monumental increase in passengers without being able to increase its size accordingly. The issue is that Warsaw Chopin was built inside the city limits, so expansion nowadays will mean lots of displacements and tremendous investment. Therefore, as a solution to the overcrowded airspace and facilities that Warsaw Chopin has to deal with, the government decided to approve the Central Transport Hub project. The Central Transport Hub project, or CPK for its initial in Polish, is a planned major infrastructure project in Poland aimed at the construction of an international airport and the development of a nationwide integrated transport network. Essentially, Poland proposed to not only build a new and bigger airport, but also a center of connections. It is intended to rival any other European hub and also connect every single traveler to almost every big city in the country. Once completed, the CPK is expected to be able to handle 40 million passengers annually and will be the 12th largest airport in Europe in terms of traffic. The airport is planned to be located approximately 40 kilometers or 25 miles southwest of Warsaw, connected to a new high-speed rail network and controlled access highway system as a link to the rest of Poland. Some expected rail connections from the CPK will take 15 minutes to Warsaw Central Station, 25 minutes to Łódź Fabryczna railway station, and around 2 hours to other major Polish cities, including Kraków, Wrocław, Poznan, and Gdańsk. However, like any other major infrastructure project around the world, it has faced some opposition and several setbacks. After being approved in November 2017, it was anticipated that work would start in 2019, and construction was supposed to take 8 years. A politician even remarked that the first flight will take off from the CPK in the 2027-2028 winter season. Obviously, the pandemic had an effect on the proposed plans, so the project was reassessed in 2023 and given the green light once again. In November 2024, it was said that the construction is planned to begin in 2026, with the airport opening by the end of 2032. From the latest information I could find, about 52% of the land needed for CPK has been bought already. I couldn't find whether the rest of the land was in progress of being purchased or not, but I guess it is something we'll just have to wait and see. Looking at Warsaw's airports, you can see that Poland is a country in its prime developmental stage. The country has been wanting to become a main player in the European continent during the recent decades. The main goal in such pursuit is to have a very well-connected capital that serves as an immediate connection to its major partners both in Europe but also around the world. The future seems bright for aviation in the country's capital, regardless of how many setbacks they have experienced, specifically whatever is going on Warsaw Radom Airport. However, it is just a matter of time for the incredible resilience of the Polish people to come through. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for the Arriving to Warsaw video in order to know exactly how to get to Warsaw. Consider subscribing and leaving a like, and comment some encouraging words for Radom Airport, please. Have a great day, and God bless you.